One finds oneself in these latter days of 2024 confronted with what might be charitably described as a crisis of nomenclature in the garden state. The term drone, that pathetic contribution to our modern lexicon, is being deployed with almost theatrical inadequacy to describe what appears to be, by all reasonable accounts, something rather more consequential than the latest toys of the surveillance state. The public anxiety, and here I must insist upon the significance of this collective neurosis, speaks to an implicit understanding that we are witnessing something that transcends our comfortable categories. Governor Murphy, that stalwart defender of the bureaucratic explanation, assures us with almost touching naivete that we are dealing with mere sophisticated drones. One is reminded of those Victorian naturalists who, upon encountering the platypus, insisted it must be some elaborate hoax. But what strikes one as particularly fascinating, indeed what demands our intellectual attention, is the stark contrast between our modern psychological brittleness and the robust indifference of our evolutionary predecessors to genuinely exotic phenomena. Consider, if you will, the utterly pragmatic response of the Netzilik Inuit to the aurora borealis, that cosmic light show that would send any modern urban-dwelling sophisticate into paroxysms of existential doubt. These people, whom we might mistakenly consider more primitive, demonstrated a philosophical sophistication that rather puts us to shame. The squirrel, and here I must beg the reader's indulgence for this seemingly prosaic example, encounters ball lightning with the same studied nonchalance it might afford a passing car. It neither constructs elaborate theories nor suffers psychological collapse. It simply adjusts its immediate behavior as required and continues about its essential business of being a squirrel. Our early hominid ancestors, sharing their world with multiple intelligent species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and others whose names we have yet to discover, possessed a world-view capacious enough to accommodate the truly strange. The encounter with something genuinely other would have been for them merely another day in a world teeming with variety and mystery. We, by contrast, have constructed for ourselves such brittle conceptual frameworks that the mere suggestion of something that transcends our categories sends us into intellectual apoplexy. The good people of New Jersey, confronted with phenomena that rather obviously exceed our current technological capabilities, grasp desperately at the word drone, like a drowning man clutching at semantic straws. The profound irony, and one must savour these ironies when they present themselves, is that our much-vaunted progress, our scientific sophistication, our technological prowess, has rendered us more psychologically vulnerable than our primitive forebears. We have constructed a worldview so rigid, so dependent upon complete explanation, that the inexplicable becomes not merely mysterious, but actively threatening to our psychological equilibrium. These drones, which demonstrate capabilities well beyond our current technical achievements, which appear with metronomic regularity over our critical infrastructure, which go dark with a sophistication that makes a mockery of our surveillance capabilities, represent something our ancestors would have simply incorporated into their understanding of a complex and not entirely comprehensible world. The hysteria, and let us call it what it is, surrounding these appearances reveals more about our psychological fragility than about the phenomena themselves. We have become a species so invested in our own explanatory frameworks that we would rather embrace obvious falsehoods than admit to the existence of something that exceeds our categories. The New Jersey situation presents us with a rather perfect crystallization of this modern paradox. The more we know, the less we can tolerate not knowing. The more we explain, the less we can accept the inexplicable. The more we control, the more we fear what we cannot control. One is reminded of that delicious moment in Shakespeare's Hamlet. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Our ancestors understood this intuitively. The squirrel understands it instinctively. We, in our infinite wisdom, have managed to forget it entirely. The true mystery of New Jersey's aerial visitors, then, is not their nature or origin, but rather our peculiar insistence on diminishing them to fit our comfortable categories. In doing so, we reveal ourselves as perhaps the first species in Earth's history to deliberately make ourselves more stupid in the face of the unknown. One might suggest, not entirely in jest, that we could profit from adopting the philosophical stance of the squirrel. Acknowledge the strange, maintain a prudent distance, but do not let it prevent us from getting on with the essential business of gathering our nuts. But then, that would require admitting that our sophisticated modern worldview might be in some crucial ways inferior to that of a rodent. And that, dear reader, might be a blow to our collective ego from which we could not recover.